In the remote corners of Sundargarh, geographic isolation dictates the local way of life. The residents here enforce a strict behavioral curfew. Once the sun sets, every door is locked and the streets are left entirely empty. This boundary is marked by a century-old stone structure known as Kala Kwa, or the Black Well. To the villagers, this is no longer a source of water, but a sinkhole that draws in and holds the surrounding darkness. At exactly midnight, the atmosphere around the well shifts. Those who have stood near the stone edge report a distinct acoustic anomaly, a low, maddening whispering that seems to emanate directly from the masonry. Rohan, a modern YouTuber, viewed this local terror as raw material for viral content. He arrived in Sundargarh intending to commodify the village's dread for his online audience. He planned a solo midnight expedition to the well, equipped with high-definition recording gear. He dismissed the elders' warnings as simple folklore, confident that his technology would debunk the myth. Rohan arrived at the well assuming the village's rules were merely a lack of modern logic. He treated a century of survival instincts as nothing more than a ghost story waiting for a digital reveal. At midnight, the environmental conditions turn hostile. The absence of light and oppressive silence create a total sensory void. As Rohan approached the well, he experienced the onset of acute paranoia. It is the specific psychological sensation of being watched and pursued, even when the path behind remains physically empty. Upon reaching the structure, he found the air heavy with a sharp odor of biological decay. The stones were crumbling, and the area felt thick with an unexplained physical rot. To manage his fear, Rohan used his camera as a psychological barrier. By viewing the world through a small digital screen, he distanced himself from the reality of the environment, treating the scene as a broadcast rather than a physical experience. This distance was shattered by an acoustic anomaly. From deep within the vertical shaft, he heard the clear, agonizing sound of a woman weeping. The sound forced Rohan's brain to switch from a digital performance to immediate survival mode. He could no longer treat the situation as a video for his audience. It was now a raw physical threat. Rohan's immediate response was to shine his flashlight directly down into the well, hoping to locate the source of the crying. He discovered that the well was completely dry. There was no water at the bottom to reflect the light, only a hollow stone cylinder. This diagram shows Rohan's optical limits. His powerful flashlight beam is actively absorbed, preventing it from reaching the shaft's bottom, yet sound travels freely upwards. Acoustic waves of weeping move through the dark zone, proving a physical source exists in the void. Rohan was now caught between two completely conflicting senses. His ears provided clear data of someone in pain, yet the physical well offered no visual evidence to confirm what he was hearing. Unable to see the source with his own eyes, Rohan looked away from the well and stared at the digital display of his camera. This moment relied on sensor disparity. Digital lenses can often process light and visual data that are invisible to the biological human eye, capturing details the brain cannot register directly. On the screen, the image was clear. A distorted, pale face with pitch-black eyes looking directly upward from the bottom of the well. The disconnect was absolute. When Rohan looked over the camera into the well, he saw only blackness. The entity remained entirely invisible to his naked eye. The entity accelerated. It rushed vertically through the stone shaft at high speed, closing the distance between the darkness and Rohan's position at the top. The digital display became the sole point of contact. By focusing the lens on the entity, Rohan established the link that allowed it to find him in the physical world. On the third morning after his disappearance, villagers found the only remaining evidence at the edge of the well, the shattered remains of Rohan's camera. There were no footprints, no signs of a struggle, and a total absence of any biological trace that could explain where Rohan had gone. This modern incident aligned perfectly with the ancient rules of the village, validating the historical fear that Rohan had originally dismissed. The story of the black well suggests that peering into the unknown is a reciprocal act. If you look deep enough into the darkness eventually gains the ability to look back at you.